I don't think he's showing back up. And I'm reading into that even more as I re-listen to it. You're pointing out character and culture, and you're just going to waltz back into a locker room that hasn't really changed that much. Aaron Rodgers, in going back to his conversation with Kenny Mayne, and the one quote that's circulating when he was asked about the framework of how we gravitate and jump on an organization side, a front office's side versus a player's side. A part of his response, guys, he says, it's just about a philosophy and maybe forgetting it's about the people that make things go. It's about the character, the culture. Character and culture is what the MVP of the league and the best player on the Packers roster and the team captain just pointed out in what's wrong with the Green Bay Packers. And we're to believe he's just going to show back up in August and everything's going to be fine? I'm not buying it. I don't think he's showing back up. And I'm reading into that even more as I re-listen to it. You're pointing out character and culture, and you're just going to waltz back into a locker room that hasn't really changed that much, and a front office that has not changed at all. And the MVP, after going public and saying that, is just going to show back up. I'm not buying it.
You know, I always think of the Packers general manager as more of a caretaker than the head of the organization, right? It's such a storied franchise that, and Aaron Rodgers said what you mentioned, Hutton, it's not about the building or the organization, it's the people that make the organization. So I've always thought of the Packers just like it's a team run by the fans and owned by the fans, not run by the fans, but owned by the fans.
Right.
I think of that GM position as a caretaker, not someone necessarily setting the standard and the bar for the organization. That's why it's odd to me that all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers seemingly has no problem with Matt LaFleur based on his comments. He doesn't mention the general manager, but he's talking about the culture and everything. Clearly he's got a problem with Gutekunst. So where did it become that this guy has the power to influence the entire organization and that he is the one stirring the drink to the point that all the character, the culture, everything that the Packers were is different? It's just odd to me that this guy has that kind of power. And I keep going back to it, and Paul, you're going to say you can't do it, but who's more important? Could they not find a good general manager for the Green Bay Packers than the guy that upset the league MVP to the point that he wants out?
Well, he upset him last year, and he showed back up and became the MVP.
Well, he showed back up because I think you wanted to prove him wrong and then get out.
But the GM
And then the GM came back and said, oh, well, wait a minute, we may have made a mistake here. Maybe he's got another year left.
Yep.
And then doesn't bend the knee to Aaron Rodgers. You got to bend the knee if you're that guy after that and say, look, we made a mistake.
It may be too late.
What do you want? And instead, they tried to do this bogus restructuring where they really didn't give him anything else, but still tried to lock him in for another year. It's an odd story on that front.
No matter how much, let me hit a couple of these things. No matter how much Gutekunst has screwed this up, you don't want him fired. Because then that's the first domino in the league turning into a thing where players get management fired like the NBA works, and that'd be a bad thing for the league. Brady has not been at OTAs for some time for the Patriots in the latter part of his career, and now he won't be with the Bucs. It's not in a dispute, granted, it's different, but the character and stuff not in question. When he shows back up, everything plugs back in.
Brady never complained about that.
But if Aaron Rodgers is there on the first day of training camp, everything could go back to normal. He throws passes and completes passes.
I'm sorry,
and they
Paul,
can win football games.
If Peyton Manning or Tom Brady complained about the character and culture of the Colts and the New England Patriots, their pride wouldn't allow them to go back in that locker room if they're doing that publicly. And Aaron Rodgers is in that same boat. Future Hall of Famer. I don't know how, with the clout that he has, and I'll use Deshaun Watson as an example of this. When you have, and you ask for a trade in Houston, even I'm going back before the allegations. Yeah. When he requests a trade and demands a trade in Houston, and you have Andre Johnson backing him up and saying, keep preaching, and you have all these former players, you have current players that back you. Publicly, when you do that, you can't just go back on your word after taking a certain stance like that within a team and a framework and just waltz back into a locker room and act like everything's perfectly
Again,
fine. I don't know how he does that, especially when other players, and it's hard not to read into it, aren't showing up because of the disgruntled quarterback. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified every time OutKick 360 goes live. We are live weekdays, 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern, right here across the OutKick network. And while you're at it, like this video and let us know what you think in the comments below.